this is Niki Rowland for Bramble Fox, and today I am making a layout using the July Fox box. In particular, I've gone for that perspective that says Awesome Day. It's in a frost material and it's lovely. I'm also joining in with a challenge by Lime Citron, who's a company who does stamps and other things. I'm going to, I was really inspired by this challenge. I don't do them very often, and it was really nice to actually sit and do this challenge that as soon as I saw the graphic, I was just so inspired by it, and I just really wanted to have a go. So I thought I would join in. I don't do challenges that often these days, I just thought it was for a bit of fun. What I'm doing is I'm making a watercolour background using just the packaging technique and various colours of shimmers. So I've got 5 different greens on the go there, some Inklingz, some Creameez, I've just gone for 5 different shades of green because that was the colours on the image. Also it goes beautifully with the Awesome Day perspective as well. So that's a frost material perspective, so it means it's slightly see-through, and it's just a really beautiful colour, really lovely, and looks actually great on my layout once finished, and goes perfectly with the colours that were on this sketch and this challenge by Lime Citron. So I'm just making my background using the watercolour background, and then I'm adding splatters over the top. So I've already added all of my colours with the packaging technique, and now I'm just going back with the same colours, and I'm adding splatters with a paintbrush over the top of all those colours I've already added. Okay, so it's now dry, and I would like to add some stamping. So I'm not very good at stamping, but I do have a few stamps in my collection, and these ones here is what I'm using by Lime Citron. So I've just tested that first because I haven't used it for a while, and just making sure that it will stamp nicely, which it does. So lovely. I really love how that comes out. And I'm adding some other textured stamps in as well. So I'm using a grey colour by Stays On. So it's not the harsh black. It's a slightly lesser colour than that. It's just slightly lighter than that. And I'm just adding in some texture. So I've added in a couple of those circles, and I'm now adding in some kind of like bubble wrap packaging style stamps there as well. And I've also got this one that's like a little piece of thread, or it's in a line. So I'm just adding a couple of those as well. So following the sketch the whole time, and there is all of my stamping done. So that's roughly what my layout's going to look like. Photo's going to go there, Awesome Day is there. And now I'm adding some Indian ink, black Indian ink, to give some really dramatic feel splatters. And then I stood up to go out to pick up the children from school, picked my cardigan off of the back of my chair and managed to swipe it across my very wet Indian ink and completely destroy the layout. So I thought I would show you that, because accidents happen, and these things happen, and it's not the end of the world. I did go into a bit of a funk for a few days. I didn't come back to it for about 5 days. I was so cross because I really liked the background and I completely destroyed it. But there you go, these things happen. So I've recreated the background off camera when you weren't looking. So literally exactly the same thing, super quick, so I knew what I was doing. And I cut out that original layout, and I punched loads of hearts from it, just so that I didn't want to waste the really lovely mixed media background that I'd created. Obviously the ruined part was unsalvageable, but I've cut hearts out of the rest of it, so I'm going to use a few of those hearts on this layout. So it's not the end of the world. These things do happen, and I'm not perfect, no one's perfect, and my layout looks pretty much like it was supposed to look, so I wasted a sheet of cardstock and some time, but other than that, not the end of the world. So all good. So now I'm just going through, and I am making the rest of my layout. Just going to try and figure out a photo stack. So I want some different layers behind my photo. So I'm putting out some blues and greens from I've got so one of them is Vicki Boutin paper, one is Simple Stories, Sunshine and Blue Skies, and then I'm going to put some glitter paper behind as well. I wanted just to get the two colours, the kind of the yellowy, greeny lime green, very light lime green, and the darker blue turquoise. I wanted those two colours in my papers, so I've managed to pull those out. And I've kind of got a minty colour glitter paper that I've just put in to the left of my layout there as well. And now I've pulled out some sequins to go with this layout as well. I found a really lovely set, but it had lots and lots of pink sequins in, so they didn't really work, but the other colours, the blue and the green, worked brilliantly. So I just pulled them all out, and I pulled out the ones that worked with this layout, and I've just sprinkled those on. None of them stuck in place yet, but I will add them in a bit. So I'm now just sticking my photos stacked together and going to get that stuck over on the right hand side. Okay, so that's my photo stack, all kind of stuck together. I've interspersed the layers with foam pads, and I'm adding foam pads to stick it down as well. I like my photos to have lots of dimension, so that's why I'm using the foam pads there. So I'm just going to get that Bramble Fox perspective stuck in place. Now, I stick these in place with glossy accents, and on this particular one, because it's a frost one and therefore see-through, I make sure that the entire back of the perspective is covered in the adhesive, so that it all looks the same, rather than blobs of it here and there that would really show. So I make sure I just cover the whole back of the perspective in the glossy accents, and then it sticks down, and it sticks down pretty smoothly. I've also added some silver thread behind the photo, and I've just stuck that in place. I've just tangled it up and put it under my photo 2 places, and added some glossy accents underneath as well. So that's why I've got my bottle of glossy accents sitting on the corner of the photo, just to make sure that the corner stays down, because it's holding all that glossy accents in place, and the thread, sorry. So now I'm going back to those mixed media hearts that I made earlier by mistake, and they're the ones I cut from the ruined background, and I'm just outlining the edges with a black gel pen. It's quite a thick gel pen. It gives a really good flow, and it gives those hearts lots of definition. So they look good. I've tried to, when I cut them out, I tried to make sure I got areas that's just got the packaging technique. Some's got white bits with splatters. Some's got the stamping on as well. So yeah, a bit of a variety on those hearts. They really are mixed media hearts. Just going through my Vicki Boutin Color Kaleidescope ephemera here, and pulled out a few bits and pieces. I've got some flowers there and some leaves, and this is a day at the Natural History Museum on my photos, and we were at this point looking at dinosaurs, so it seems to be a reoccurring theme in my life at the moment, dinosaurs. That's why part of the reason I wanted the layout to be green, but also I wanted some leaves and foliage and things around, because whenever I think of dinosaurs, I always think of them out running around in the jungle. So I wanted some foliage in there, so I've got some leaves, some flowers, some more leaves, and I've just added a banner there underneath the photo. That's one of the die cuts from the Vicki Boutin ephemera, and adding in one of those cameras. I love these. I love the cameras that's in this collection. The navy blue works really well with the colours that I've got going on here, and it just gives a bit of contrast, really. So I've got that second place as well, and I'm just adding in those mixed media hearts. Hearts go with everything, because I love everything, so that kind of works for me. I love dinosaurs, I love my children, I love the fact that we went out for the day and had an awesome day, so yeah, hearts are fair game, I think, on pretty much every single layout, so I'm all good with that. So now I'm just getting those sequins stuck in place. So as I said, I found those fantastic sequin mix from Spiegel Mom, and it had lots of pink or iridescent pink in, but they didn't work, so I just pulled out the blues and the greens, and there's a few yellows as well, which also goes with the colour scheme on this layout too. So I'm just getting all of this stuck in place. I'm using just glossy accents again. I move them out of the way, and then I put a little dot of glue down, and then I put the sequin back in place. Just adding some puffy stickers now, mostly circles. I think I've got a question mark. Well, there was a lot of questions that day, and some others, little phrases as well, a hashtag, and some other things. So yeah, just adding those in. And then I decided that my layout needed a few pops of black, and I pulled out a different set of sequins that had a few black ones in there. So I've just added those onto the layout as well. And then I went looking for other embellishments, because the Vicki Boutin collection has lots of pinks and florals in, and I wanted to stick to these blues and greens and yellows. I went looking through my other stash to see what else I had that would work with this layout. So I pulled out that tag, which was by Paige Evans in her latest collection. Yeah, the current one, Horizon. The next one isn't out yet. So I pulled that out and I tucked that behind my photo. It doesn't matter that my photo was already stuck down. I just prized it up and added it underneath, and now I found some black enamel dots as well, so that was ideal for my pops of black that I wanted. So I've added in those, and I found some layered hearts. They're quite old, they're by Pink Fresh Studio, I think, and they're, oh goodness, at least a year old, I'm sure, really old for me. So I added those in as well. And I'm just adding in my journaling, so just a few lines about what we were doing, what this photo relates to, and I also have to put the date in underneath too. I've just used that same black gel pen that I used around the edge of the hearts as well, just to make it all come together. And now I want to add some Indian ink, some more Indian ink, which I'm not going to I'm not going to swipe over this time, so I've just added, I wanted a very small flicks rather than the big droplets, so I put a droplet onto a piece of packaging and I watered it down with some water, and then I could just pick it up and splatter it with a paintbrush, so that was perfect. That was a little yellow heart there that I just put in that wouldn't stick on its own, so I added that with glossy accents as well, and that is me done. So thank you so much for joining me today. Head over to Bramble Fox to pick yourself up a box and that fabulous Awesome Day Perspective. That was Nikki Rowland for Bramble Fox.